I'm Jamie, and welcome back to my channel, Jamie Sage Knits, where we talk about knitting, yarn, fiber arts, pattern inspiration, and today I'll be sharing my 2024 winter knitting plans. So I'm excited to share with you the projects that I'm hoping to work on, as well as some pattern inspiration of projects that I would love to do in the future, but I just know I won't have a chance this season. Before diving in, I wanted to tell you a little bit about the sweater I'm wearing today. If you have watched my videos recently, you probably recognize this sweater, and I'm not surprised to see me wearing it. This is my BB sweater by Spectacle Streak, and it is one of my most recently completed projects and definitely my favorite of fall of this year. So obviously it's an all over colorwork sweater, and it was, a labor of love, probably my most time consuming project ever, but so fun to do, and I'm so proud of it and feeling really satisfied with it. So it's definitely my most frequently worn project for the past couple of weeks, and I'm excited to wear it during the video today. And with that, I guess I will dive into patterns. The first one, I wasn't sure if I should include it because I was planning on filming a couple days ago, but didn't have a chance. At that time, this project was still in progress, but now I've gone ahead and finished it. But I decided to still share it because I think it could be good inspiration, and a lot of you might already be familiar with this pattern. So this is the Musselburgh Hat by Sol de Teague. It is a really interesting construction where you basically knit a whole tube and then fold it within itself. And another feature of this pattern you might have heard about is that it's it's swatchless. So you just start the crown increases, and then once you get a certain amount in, you can measure your gauge and then just adjust from there. So that is pretty nice and convenient for a small project like a hat. It would be pretty annoying to have to make a gauge swatch, which would take the ratio of how long it would take to make a gauge swatch versus a whole hat is much different than for a sweater. So I really like that you don't have to do a gauge swatch before. You just figure out how big your hat will be and how many increases and how long to make it and that sort of stuff by the gauge once you get started. And you can see with this one, I have tried out the color blocking. So this is my second Musselburgh hat. The first one, it was just all in one color. But this one, I decided to follow her instructions on how to create a color blocked hat. And this version is where each way that you fold it will be all one color. So if you fold it in this way with the blue on the inside, it's a little fiddly, and then fold up, what the heck's going on? Here we go. And then fold up the brim. Then, I don't know, something is off about this, but it's hard to do on camera. But yeah, if you fold it this way, then you get the pattern side. And then if you fold it the other way, then you get this plain blue side. So I thought that was really nice. And then you can also not fold it and then get a mix like this. So I thought this was really nice, and I just wanted to include this pattern because I think it's a lovely, really fun, quick winter pattern, and it also is a great gift leading up to the holidays. Very quick, as might be apparent by the fact that I had it in progress a couple days ago and now it is done. And I'll tell you a little bit about the yarn as well. This one is a beautiful hand-dyed yarn I got at the New York City yarn crawl from a small hand dyer called the Wooden Wench. It's 90% superwash wool and 10% silk. It's 4-ply and DK weight with 225 meters per 100 grams. And then the other side is from Circulo Yarns. It's their yarn line called Sweet in the color Archipelago. This is 100% Brazilian merino wool, and it's a light DK weight with 300 meters per 100 grams. So the weight is a little bit different, but I actually think the width didn't really change. So I think it looks great. I'm very happy with it. I just wanted to include that. That was my first finished object of what I would consider the winter. I know it's not technically winter yet, but I feel like December is winter. So that was my first one. The second project is also in progress, and this is the one that I'm working on kind of the most furiously at the moment. It's my main focus. This is the Arendal Pullover by Ellis Knitwear. This is a test knit that I'm working on. Oh my gosh, it looks so beautiful. This test knit is due January 18th, and currently it's the beginning of December. So I'm feeling pretty good about my progress, and I'm gonna continue chugging along on this. And then I imagine, based on that time frame, that maybe the pattern will be available sometime in February. And this designer already has some other beautiful patterns, including another colorwork one that seems like a pretty similar construction, if you'd want to check that out. This one I'm working up with Drops Lima, which is the recommended yarn. This is 65% wool, 35% alpaca, a DK weight yarn in the colors navy and white, and this is knit on 4mm needles. This pattern is designed with 10 to 12 inches of positive ease, and the test knit sizes for the straight size group, which I'm doing, range from a bust of 41.5 to 57.5 inches, and then there's also a plus size version as well, which I don't have access to, so I'm not sure the measurements of those, but I imagine it goes at least a couple sizes above 57.5. So it seems pretty size inclusive, and if you're interested, you could kind of make a note to check back in on this pattern closer to February, or check out the designer's existing patterns. So I just think it is so fun. It's very wintry, and of course you could do a lot of different things with this. I was also considering doing like a brick red and beige like color, but I decided the navy blue and white was just very beautiful and very wintry as well. So love this one. That is my main focus for the time being. Definitely planning to finish that one by January. And then I also would like to finish this sweater this winter. This will be my next project that I turn my attention towards. And this is the Caramel Sweater by Petite Knit. I've talked about it before. I started this last winter. It became apparent that I was going to run out of yarn, so I put it on hold until my big yarn order online for this season. And then I have picked up again and been working on the first sleeve. So I just have to finish this sleeve, do the other one, and the body is already done. So just a little bit stuck on Sleeve Island at the moment, but I am definitely planning to finish this winter. I don't know if it will be feasible, but I would actually love to finish it by Christmas, because I think this would be a beautiful Christmas sweater with the color. So we will see if that happens. Just to share a little bit more about the sweater itself, as you might be able to tell, it is a turtleneck. It's a top-down raglan with 4 to 6 inches of positive ease recommended, and I wanted it a little bit looser. It has 2x2 rib detailing on the neck, on the body hem, and then the wool on the sleeve cuffs when they're done. And the sizing ranges from 37.5 to 53 inches, and it's knit on 4mm needles. I am using Drops Flora in red, which is 65% wool, 35% alpaca. It's the fingering weight version of Drops Lima, and it has 210 meters per 50 grams. I'm holding it together with Drops Kid Silk in the color red, which has 210 meters per 25 grams. And I absolutely love this combination. I've used it before. I used it for this sweater. It's very inexpensive from Drops. The mohair is kind of scratchy, but luckily I'm not super sensitive to scratchy wool. Like, I can have this a little bit against my neck and it doesn't really bother me. I'm wearing like a half sleeve shirt under this, so I feel fine with it, but I have heard from other people that this mohair does kind of bother them. But in my opinion, it's a great budget option, so I use that same combination for this, and you'll see it even ahead. So I have been using a lot of Drops yarn, but I think in 2025 I will try to branch out a bit more and invest maybe a bit more in trying out some higher, I don't know if it's fair to say higher quality yarns, but I don't know, just maybe some higher price yarns, and maybe I'll feel them and use them and be like, oh yes, this is higher quality. But I've never had an issue with Drops yarn. I've worn this sweater already like 5+ times in the past week or two, and there's no pilling or anything like that. Obviously I'll have to wear it a lot more, but yeah, actually I wanted a little bit of a tangent there about how I think Drops yarn are actually really solid, and I love them. So that is, and here we have my just little black project bag. So I have one more project that is in progress because I started it a couple days ago. You might be wondering, why did you start that when you already have 2 projects that you need to be working on? The answer is, I don't know. I just felt like it. I felt excited and I wanted to get it going. So the project that I just started on, and another core element of my winter knitting plans, is the Cinema Sweater by Veronica Lindberg, Kuta Vakika. I absolutely love her patterns. I've already knit a couple of her more complex cable patterns, and this is a very simple kind of oversized raglan. It is knit top down. I'm knitting it in black, and I'm envisioning it kind of as like a casual staple item to throw on at home or over an outfit. And I don't have any hand knit black sweaters, so I'm hoping to have this as like a really staple item in my wardrobe. So I'm knitting it up with Drops Alpaca and Drops Brushed Alpaca Silk, both in black. Drops Alpaca is a sport weight yarn, 167 meters and 50 grams, and Drops Brushed Alpaca Silk is actually online considered Aran or worsted weight. I think it's because it recommends a really open gauge, but you can see like it's a thin yarn. I would consider this maybe like a heavy lace weight or light fingering weight, and it has 140 meters per 25 grams. And both of these are so soft and lovely. I am anticipating that I probably won't block the sweater because it's black, so you can't really see the stitches anyway, so it doesn't matter for stitch evenness, and I don't want it to grow too much. I've heard that alpaca grows a lot with blocking, and I know it might even sag over time, but I kind of strategically selected this yarn for this sweater. I want it to be really soft and cozy. I don't mind if it grows over time. I might put an elastic in the neckband just so that doesn't go crazy, but I want this to be like a slouchy, oversized sweater, so I think it's okay for it to grow a little bit. And the pattern is designed to have 12 to 16 inches of positive ease, and the finished bust measurements span from 45 to 77 inches, so quite a large range. I don't think I have anything else to say about this. Obviously you can see I've just started the neckband, and I'm excited to have this as a fun, just like stockinette project. Obviously knitting with black yarn can be a little tricky, but it's going well so far. It's creating like a pretty nice, like slightly open texture, so I'm excited to continue on this one. And that brings us to the end of projects that I have already started. I'm going in obviously with now these 3 works in progress that are at different stages, but I think it's pretty realistic for me to finish my Arendal pullover and my caramel sweater maybe this month or by mid-January, and then that will give me lots of time to work on my cinema sweater. And then I wanted to have a couple other sweaters in the mix as well. I'm not sure I'll be able to finish all of them this winter, but we'll see what I get to. And obviously from this video, I love working on sweaters. It's like my favorite thing to work on. I would be interested in adding a couple more like dresses into the mix or things like that. But before I got into garment knitting, I was doing a ton of accessory knitting. So at this point, I just don't really need any more hats, scarves, mittens, anything like that. So that is why my focus is really on sweaters, and then in the summer on the tank tops and things like that. But if you have any suggestions of kind of like big projects that you like, that you have knit, that you're planning to knit this winter, definitely let me know in the comments because I'd love to hear. But for the time being, I'm really enjoying building up my sweater collection. And the next project that I have planned is also a sweater, and I already have the yarn for it. So I'm going to be working on the Wood Anenome Pullover by Sari Nordland using this combination. This is a beautiful lace yoke pullover, and I will be making it in kind of light gray. Looking at the sample photo, I am tempted to make it in a bright color, but I really want to be able to get more wear out of it and have it be like a more wearable, frequent sweater. And it can be knit with a fingering weight plus a lace weight or a DK yarn single-stranded. The sizes range from 32 to 65 inches of the completed garment with 2 to 6 inches of positive ease recommended. And for the yarn, I'll be using this combination of Drops Flora and Drops Kid Silk. I think after this set of projects, my hope would be to try branching out a bit more. But I think something about me is, you know, when I figure out something that works for me and that I enjoy, I don't feel necessarily that motivated to try something different. So because this is a combination that I know I like and it's very inexpensive, I've just been obviously using it for a lot of projects, and they have great color selection as well. But I think it would be fun to branch out a little. And you can see this has a bigger divergence than I usually incorporate for my mohair and like wool combination, but I thought it would be kind of fun to mix it up. I think it could make kind of like a marled effect, and hopefully it'll be nice. And if it doesn't look good with the lace, I could always use it for a simpler sweater and then get a different, closer combination for the lace. So we will see, but I'm really excited for this one. I have knit one prior Nordland project that also had a lace component, and I just think it's so beautiful, and I'm really excited, especially because I've been working on a lot of color work recently, as well as some plain stockinette, so I think it'll be fun to add a lace project into the mix. But I don't think I'll start that one until I finish my Arendal pullover and my caramel sweater, and then maybe once I'm working more on the cinema sweater, then I can add this one in. So let's see if I stick to that. The last project that I personally will hope to work on this winter is the Mosaic Sweater by Pernille Larsen of Knitting for Olive. This is a drop shoulder sweater with this really cool geometric colorwork motif. And the suggested yarn is 2 strands of Knitting for Olive merino with 1 strand of mohair. I imagine you could also use a strand of like a heavy DK or worsted weight with a mohair, maybe even like the Knitting for Olive heavy merino. And the pattern contains instructions for knitting the yoke flat or steeking. And I think at this point I would probably steek it because I'm becoming more comfortable with it. I use steeking for this sweater. I'll use it for the Arendal pullover. And knitting colorwork flat can be kind of annoying. So I'm looking forward to this, but I'm not feeling quite as excited to work on it at the moment. I think I just need a break from color work. So I've put it last on my queue. And I think after some nice stockinette projects and the lace yoke, I will feel more ready to dive back into color work with this project. So here now we're gonna get into a few projects that I won't have time to work on this winter, but I think are really beautiful that I would consider working on in the future, and just that I wanted to share with you as I was kind of looking through and gaining some inspiration. So the first one here is the Mist Sleeves by Helene Beba. And this is kind of like a bolero. I think it's so beautiful. The light color of the sample is very ethereal and whimsical, kind of like a snow princess. And this pattern calls for 3 strands of mohair held together or 1 strand of a chunky mohair on 7mm needles. So I think it would be pretty quick to work up, and it has a nice like fluffy, soft texture. There are 3 sizes that fit a bust circumference of 27.5 to 51 inches. So I think this would be a really fun and relatively quick pattern, and I would definitely love to make it in the future. The next couple of things I want to talk about are a couple of sweaters. The first one is called the Interval Sweater by Maria Iseva. This is such an amazing 2-color all-over cable sweater using a lace weight wool and lace weight mohair held together, or a single sport weight. I think this sample looks amazing and so cool because it's like silver and gold together in the cables, but there's so many beautiful color combos that you could do, like high contrast or more subtle. And there's 12 sizes available with a bust measurement of 47 to 69 inches. I don't think the designer specifies like recommended ease, but the size range makes me suspect that it's meant to have a fair amount of positive ease, maybe like 12 inches or more, which is a little bit of a shame because I feel like this sweater could be cute to make with like neutral ease. But I would definitely consider doing this in the future, and I haven't done a cable project in a while, so this one is definitely on my wish list for the future. And then lastly, for sweaters, oh, I have another mohair. I wanted to mention the Winnie Sweater by Woozy by Celine. I love watching her videos, and I totally fell in love with this sweater. It's so gorgeous. It seems quite simple, but it has this mock neck and the slightly flared sleeves. And I just think it looks really lovely and cozy. It's knit with an Aran weight yarn on 5.5mm needles and stockinette, so I think it would work up pretty quickly. And the sizing ranges from 37.5 to 60.5 inches to fit a bust circumference of 30.5 to 55 inches with 6 inches of positive ease. So I feel like this is such a versatile kind of like staple sweater, and it's kind of similar to the Fat Timeless sweater, but I think it's a little bit more polished. So I would love to make this one maybe next winter, or maybe even in the spring if I wind up using kind of a lighter weight yarn, or not weight, but like a, you know, a cotton containing yarn or something like that. I think the recommended yarn has some cotton content. So yeah, I won't get to this one in the winter, but it's definitely high up on my list and on my mind for an upcoming season. I also wanted to mention this project called The Pop by Esther Romo. It's like a hood / collar. It's knit with a DK plus a lace weight yarn held together, and it's worked up in brioche stitch. I've never knit something with so much shaping as a hood, but it looks really cool. I would love to try it. Maybe I'll incorporate it this winter if I am getting tired of my big projects and sweaters. And the only downside that I could see is that it's one size. It has about 15 inches across, but I imagine you could easily modify it with increases in the neck or the upper chest to make the edges go out wider if your torso is larger. And some of the Ravelry photos do show different modifications, like making the collar portion smaller so that it's not as bulky. I think some of them might make it wider as well. So I think this would be a really fun project, and I do find it really intriguing. I've never made a collar, but I like the idea of, like, rather than a scarf, it lays flat, but you can see it like under a coat, and it adds some visual interest to an outfit without as much bulk and layering as a full sweater. So I think that's pretty fun, and like I said, I might actually get to it this winter, but I also might do it next winter. But I do feel like this would be a really fun one to do, and since I've never knit a hood, that just kind of intrigues me and could be a fun challenge. Now, also talking about accessories, I totally fell in love with the Turtle Dove shawl by Sari Nordland. She has a number of beautiful shawls, and this one in particular calls for a light fingering plus lace weight or a DK weight held single, and it calls for 240 meters. So I was actually thinking about knitting this in the Knitting for Olive cashmere. I've never used that yarn before, and they have such a beautiful color selection. So we'll see about that. Again, I don't know if I'll get to that this winter or maybe keep it on hold for next winter, but this is kind of my favorite out of the shawls that I saw from her, and she has some lovely other ones as well, as I mentioned. So I feel like this is a really fun, like, small project that you could mix in with other larger ones, and this one has like a fair amount of visual interest and texture to it. So I really liked that. And I also like that it is like a smaller amount of yarn, so you can kind of splurge for a nicer yarn, whether that's like a cashmere or something hand dyed, and it doesn't have to be for like a whole project, which would be a big investment. So I love that. Lastly, I wanted to talk about a couple of socks and also like a home accessory. I'm not a huge sock knitter, but whenever I do these videos, I always think it would be fun to include a couple of sock patterns, and then it makes me feel like maybe I do want to knit socks. So the first one I want to talk about is the Holly and Jolly socks by This Handmade Life. I just thought these were so cute, and they're not like overwhelming, but there is a fair amount going on with the color work. It's knit in fingering weight yarn, and there are 64 and 72 stitch versions. I think if I did knit socks, this would be a top contender for me. It's really fun, I feel like, to knit more interesting socks, like holiday socks. And that's also nice because I would kind of worry about how they hold up over time. And like, I know, of course, there's all sorts of aspects to taking care of socks and making sure that that you can maintain them and that your effort that goes into knitting them doesn't go to waste. But I still feel a little bit unsure about that, so I like the idea of making a holiday pair that can kind of bring out for more special occasions. And then I also wanted to mention the Holly Christmas socks by Knit and Wave, and this is another fingering weight sock pattern. It's actually free, and the Ravelry description specifies that it's not like a fully fleshed out pattern, but it's more like a description of how the socks were made. So I feel like it's probably best for more experienced knitters. I just wanted to include it because it's free. I think they're super cute. And it looks like there's a little 3D element for the holly berries, which is fun. So I just wanted to mention that as well. And of course, there's a lot of other holiday sock patterns that you could look into. Stone Knits, for instance, is like a really popular sock knitter. I follow her even though I don't knit socks, but she just released a set of 3 holiday sock patterns I think is really nice. So yeah, I feel like that would be a really fun aspect to add into winter knitting. Lastly, I wanted to talk about this pattern. Some of you might have seen it as well because it was featured on Ravelry a few days ago. This is the Maxine Hot Water Bottle cover by Laura Penrose. I thought this was kind of fun to mix it up. It's like a cute home accessory. There you can use fingering, like 2 fingering weight yarns held together, or a DK single. And there's 3 color and 6 color versions, mini and regular sizes. I think it's so cute, and it would be a great gift or a fun project for yourself. And it really adds to like the hygge, I think that's how you pronounce it, like cozy winter vibes, and like having a hot water bottle, but then also having this like hand knit cover for it in colors that go along with your home. I really love it. I have a hot water bottle, but it's like this bright red color that's not very aesthetic. So I do like the idea of maybe using some scrap yarn to make a cover for it so that it is more aesthetic, and I will feel happier incorporating it into my home and being able to use it maybe more often this winter. So that is everything I wanted to talk about for today. Obviously, I have a kind of lofty goal for myself in terms of my winter knitting. I don't know if I'll get to it all, but I'm really excited to try, and I wanted to share my concrete plans and then also some of my inspiration or more tentative plans. So I would love to hear down below what you're working on, what you're planning to accomplish for your winter knitting, what project are you most excited to dive into, and I will look forward to hopefully seeing you in my next video. Bye.